Okay, let's look at Pink Math Journal, page 31. I want to look at the learning objective together. Can we please just put our finger on the word I? I can use place value understanding to round multi-digit whole numbers to any given place. Now, tell me, we've been talking about rounding on our spiral reviews for several weeks. Raise your hand if you can tell me, what does it mean to round? What does rounding mean? Will? Okay, and what does that mean, though? I have every confidence in the world that you know exactly how to round. I want to know if we understand what it means to round. Jameson?
It means to take one number and move number before that to see if it's move up or down.
Okay, what do you think?
Rounding means, like, if you have a number, but it's like just a very random number, you can either round it up depending on how high the number it is, or round it down depending on how low it is.
Okay, so when we're talking about rounding, we're looking at the number and we're trying to decide, what is it closer to? So if we're rounding to the nearest 100, then we're trying to decide, for example, the number 452. If I'm supposed to round that to the nearest 100, I'm really trying to decide if it's closer to 400 or 500. Okay, boys, I need you to focus. Okay, you need to be looking at the screen, you need to have your feet on the floor, and you need to be raising your hand participating. Okay, so the reason I think that rounding is so hard for kids your age is because you're capable of memorizing the steps, but it's really hard to picture what it means when we round. Okay, so I want to talk about that a little bit today. Let's just take a look at this first one down here before we even look at the learning takeaway. And it says round to the nearest 1,000. And let's read this number together. What number do we have? 8,732,920. Okay, now we're going to round it to the nearest 1,000. Which digit is in the thousands place? Abby? The 2. So let's go ahead and underline that. Now, what this is really asking us is this. Everybody just draw a little number line on the bottom. And I just need a number at the beginning and the end. Okay? Now, the nearest 1,000. So this number falls between 8,732,000 and 8,733,000, right? So the question is it closer to 8,732,000 or is it closer to 8,733,000? Which one is it closer to? Well, what's the dividing number? If I want to cut this in half, what is halfway between 8,732,000 and 8,733,000? What is halfway?
8,732,500.
That's right. 5 is like our dividing number. 5 cuts all of our tens in halves. It cuts our tens in half, our hundreds in half, our thousands in half. So after that 2, if my next digit is a 5, and then I follow that with zeros, can you do this please? Then that's halfway. And then that tells us, where would this go? 8,732,920. Is it more than this halfway or less than that halfway?
More.
Is it more than this halfway or less than the halfway? Greater than or less than? Stella?
More.
More. It's on this side of halfway. So is this number closer to 8,732,000 or closer to 8,733,000? Colin?
8,732,000.
Right, and that's what they're asking you to determine. They want to know, if you're rounding to the nearest 1,000, is it closest to the 2,000 or the 3,000? Now, there's easier processes to go to follow, to get your answer. But I want you to see that you could do these on a number line. You're really just trying to see, is it closer to this end or this end? It gets easier with the millions. Is it closer to 8 million or 9 million? Okay, but when we have all those numbers in front, it can get a little bit confusing. That's why we have these steps to look at. Okay, so the steps are very basic. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, can you just get one out of my little basket right there? Thank you. So the first step that it gives us is to underline the digit in the place value. So everybody should have underlined that too. That's our first step. Then it says to copy the beginning digits. This is critical. You have to have all of the numbers that come before. The 8, the 7, and the 3. You have to have all the numbers that come before the underlined digit. Then it says, look at the judge. What is the judge? Why would we call that number the judge? What does that mean? Draw an arrow to it and then raise your hand and tell me, what does it mean, the judge? Why are we calling that number the judge? Carter?
Because it tells the number, that number if it needs to go up or down.
Right, it's the deciding factor. Are we going to stay the same or are we going to go up? Are we going to stay the same or are we going up? Okay, so if the judge is 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4, we're going to keep the underlined digit. If the judge is 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, we increase the digit by 1. And then the judge and every number after it becomes a 0. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, so let's do it with this one. Round to the nearest million. Which digit should I underline? Which digit is in the millions place? Deacon? The 8. Then it says copy the beginning digits. Are there any digits before the 8? No, so I don't need to copy any digits. Look at the judge to the right. Everybody draw your arrow. And the judge is a 7. So what does it say to do? Increase the underlined digit by 1. So now instead of 8, I'm on the wrong one, aren't I?
Yep.
Is that what you're telling me? It's a 9. Then what do? Turn the judge and all the numbers after it into zeros. Okay, so let's look at the next one. Round to the nearest 10. What digit is in the tens place? What digit is in the tens place? Landon. This 2. Copy the beginning digits. So we need to write down the 8, the 7, the 3, the 2, and the 9. Everything up to that underlined digit, we need to copy it down. Then, look at the judge. It's a 0. What do I do if the judge is a 0? Leave it, and then every digit after it becomes a 0. It's the same number. Okay, now I want to talk about this. Sometimes we get a little confused with what to do here. But really, we do all the same steps, except we don't have to do the first step because they already underlined it for us. So we can just skip the first step, copy the beginning digits, 8 and 7. You'll need to do it here. Look at the number to the right, still draw your arrow, it's a 2. So what am I going to do? Am I going to keep the 3 or make it a 4? keep the 3, and then the judge and every number after it becomes a 0. Okay, you really want to include those commas in your number. They help you know how many zeros you need. Okay, and then this one, they did the first step for you. Now we need to copy the beginning digits. So we copy the 8, the 7, the 3, and the 2. Look at the judge. Draw the arrow. It's a 2. So what does a 2 tell me?
Keep it.
Keep it. Okay, you need to correct your word, please. And then the judge and every digit after it becomes a 0. Okay? Do we have questions about that? Okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to look at page 32, and with a partner, I want you to practice rounding each one of these. So this one is to the tens place. Let's underline that 1. These are to the hundreds place. Underline the hundreds digit. These are to the thousands place. Underline, why are you out of your seat? Underline the thousands digit. Okay, let's do one of these together. Write down your digits that come before the one that we underlined. Look at the judge. It's a 9. So what do I do with that 1, Luke? Do I leave it a 1 or make it a 2? Make it a 2, and then that 9 needs to become a 0. Okay? We'll do the same thing here and the same thing here. These numbers down here get pretty big. Okay, so I'm going to give you a little time to work with a friend on page 31 and 32, on page 32. Okay, I expect what when we get with our friend?
One person talking.
One person talking. What else? Riley?